Welcome back to Visionary Ventures, the Kadbustani podcast. Today, I'm thrilled to welcome Rami Alame, a visionary financial services lawyer whose career spans prestigious roles from CAD law in New York City to servicing as a legal counsel at the United Nations. Rami is the founder of Lexium, the first AI-powered digital law firm, and the co-founder of Tradium, an AI-powered collective learning app for trading. Additionally, Rami's venture, AK, recently launched a free NFT called Aquilers, which impressively generated 1.2 million in traded volume. He also established Aurorus Advisors, a startup law firm that helps entrepreneurs navigate the complexities of legal frameworks. Today, we'll dive into his innovative contributions to law and technology, and we're going to explore the synergy between his entrepreneurial endeavors and discuss how his venture impacts the evolving landscape of digital finance and Web3 technologies as well. So Rami, first of all, I'm delighted to have you here today. Thank you so much for taking the time and be on the podcast. Before we delve into your various professional pursuits, just could you share a bit about your journey from traditional finance and law to your current innovative ventures in technology and Web3?
So, first of all, thank you so much for having me. Thank you for the intro. And thank you for the podcast. So I started, I think to answer this question in the most kind of simple way for everyone, I think that when you go into innovation, when you try to create things, it happens along the way. So whoever is going to try to tell you that this was like planned all along, this is a huge lie, because you cannot plan the things that you go through. I started off as a lawyer. I studied law. I studied finance. I did my master's in financial services law. And then I started a regular career as a financial services lawyer in New York at Cadwell, Kirsham & Taft, which is a renowned law firm that catered for one of the biggest banks, Goldman Sachs, at the time. So I was like literally going on as a lawyer, wearing my suit, going to the office, just living the lawyer life. And then things happened. I saw an opportunity to go back to come back to the region. First of all, that was coupled with some family problems that led to me having to go back. So it wasn't really decided in a sense, like, hey, I'm going to build something innovative. No, it wasn't like that.
I'm noticing that it will never be.
Exactly. And at the same time, while I was at Cadwallader, I was working under, and that's something I think I've never shared. I think I'm going to be sharing it with you.
Nice.
I was working under a partner called Stephen Lofchi at Cadwallader. He was the partner in charge of me in the hierarchy, and he was thinking about how can we create that Q&A system and that's something we're going to talk about in the, I think on the business level, but he was kind of starting to think about the innovation. So I was grasping all that content, and then I had to leave abruptly. And then when I left, all these things came together. So that's kind of how I shifted from one place to another.
Amazing. Super inspiring, by the way. And really what I'm noticing that you cannot predict these shifts. It happens.
Oh, yeah.
It just happens. Okay, so thank you for that intro as well. Let's dig a little bit deeper into that transition. And you basically went from the big institutions like Cadwallader and the UN to the dynamic world of startups and tech. That must have been really mentally challenging for you. How did you manage this transition, and what were the key mental shifts that you had to make?
So yeah, totally. I mean, when you're moving from one side of the aisle to the other, basically trying to understand how to launch a business, and again, going back to the idea of launching a business, I think no one knows how to really launch a business. It just also happens. So you're faced with chaos. So the mental shift is extremely brutal because you're used to a certain framework. You're used to basically going to the office, having some kind of KPIs, some kind of targets, OKRs, etc. And then suddenly you have to create those rules and those boundaries, and you have to limit yourself to be able to achieve them. With that, you still have to keep that vision that, again, keeps on evolving as you build your business. So you start with an idea, and then suddenly you realize that this idea, hey, it doesn't really work. So I need to maybe kind of transition it a bit, shift it a bit. So it starts becoming more challenging, and you have to keep up with the tasks in the meantime. And when it comes to the third part, which is the business model also keeps changing and is an interactive concept. And so I remember literally I remember when I started, I was so I had an air mattress at the office. So I used to sleep at the office, and I had literally gotten a subscription at the gym, which was
that was where?
That was in downtown Beirut. So I came back to Beirut for family reasons. I started off Aurora's Advisors in Beirut as a kind of startup law firm. So I remember I took an office literally without any windows. And I specifically took it without any windows because I wanted to detach from the concept of time. That's something in Vegas that I have experienced. I had experienced in Vegas, actually. When you go to Vegas, all the casinos have no windows. So that you don't realize it's day, night. So you keep on obviously spending. I used this concept to get the office and to basically convince myself that there was no day and night. And I got my air mattress. And so I remember at some point I said, like, who asked for this? I mean, I was living in New York. I had a penthouse. I started off like with really a high salary as a lawyer. And so I literally thought to myself, like, am I doing this right? And I had no answer. No one could answer me whether it was right or wrong. So yeah, it was very challenging to keep on moving when you are hesitating on whether you should just go back to what you were, and you could, or actually keep building.
Exactly. Yeah. And talking about that, in the face of the business uncertainties and in the fast pace of technological change as well, how do you maintain that mental clarity and resilience to keep on going?
You just, I mean, I would love to share like a secret formula or something, but at the same time, I mean, if you ask,
it's not
exactly
no secret formulas.
Exactly. I mean,
spoiler alert.
Exactly. I mean, at the pace that you're moving at, usually like you just do this, like you just do it. Right? If you ask literally any entrepreneur out there, any entrepreneur who really went through the building process, how do you maintain the resilience? Because you basically convince yourself that you have no other option. And the example I gave you earlier, where I said, like, who asked for this? That was one moment. And then you just look around you and you say, okay, no, I'm far from going back to where I was for so many reasons. And you start creating those reasons in your head that convince you more and more that your only option is to actually move forward. Your only option is to wake up or go to the office or sit at the office and then open up your laptop, start sending out emails, send out LinkedIn invites, send out stuff. So you just dive into the details. So that's how you maintain the resilience, by just going back into the details and stop thinking about the main big vision. Because a lot of people get lost in that. Like they think about, okay, I'm going to build this $1 billion company. Great. But you have to start with answering an email, sending out an invite, sending out a message, reaching out, and very important, basically having things move forward. And that's something we're going to talk about later. Again, move forward while you are thinking. And that's, we'll detail that later in the business.
100%. And I really don't know how much we can tackle this subject in depth, but would you call it obsession is what kept you moving forward?
Yeah, totally.
Or is it really like a vision or
In my case, it was an obsession. In my case, it was a total obsession. I mean, I wanted to build. I saw the vision. I was excited each and every time we had a small success, we had a small breakout. It was an obsession. For me, it's still an obsession up until today. I mean, sometimes like people do not believe how much time I allocate in kind of doing stuff and how can I basically tackle things.
I know a portion of it, and
I mean, yeah,
it's crazy.
So
I don't know how you do it. I have no clue.
Literally, again, like the thing is, when it becomes an obsession, you start finding solutions. So you become the most efficient person possible. So you start really taking out all the secondary stuff, like even sometimes the outings, sometimes like from the clothing to the outings to the distances that you move from. Like I have literally my office that's 2 minutes away from my home, that's 2 minutes away from my gym. So I choose this to kind of be as efficient as possible. So
we're gonna get to also the physical aspects and all the trainings that goes with it, but mental clarity is really key, and I do believe that obsession and believing in yourself and obsessing about what you want to achieve in life is your main and primary drive forward, and it really blocks everything else. So it's like, I don't know if you want to take it like the race horses, you're blocking everything else and you're just focusing on the track that you're putting in front of you, and you're just running towards your goals, one goal at a time.
Yeah, that's true.
Amazing.
That's true. And you will get a lot of distractions. I mean, if you're this is where your willpower comes into play, because you will be distracted. There is no way that you would not be distracted by things around you, by maybe friends, by contacts, by sometimes relationships, by a lot of things. There are things that will distract you, and it's up to you to decide. And that's the cool thing about life. I mean, the journey, like it gives you choices. It gives you choices. It tells you like, okay, what do you want to do? Like you have to decide, okay, no, I'm gonna continue because that's my priority, that's my obsession, or I'm gonna stop a bit. And it's not wrong. Stop a bit and then look at this distraction and then realize, oh no, my main goal is that. So I'll go back to it. So yeah.
So what I'm understanding as well is you have the possibility of taking any choice that you would like, and it's all in your hands at the end of the day, and you decide if you want to do that or this, and you will have to eventually compromise on a lot of stuff, right?
Totally. I mean, you have to compromise on a lot of things that are basically, in a sense, pre-programmed in your head as if they were priorities. So, for example, a lot of people kind of reach a certain age, like 30, 40, even 50 sometimes, and they kind of categorize themselves as potentially maybe old or grown-ups. At the same time, if you just detach from that concept, that's just a social concept. It's not a concept that basically defines what you want to do, because you could start just like the KFC guy, obviously the famous example of the guy who founded
Sanders.
Exactly. Founded KFC at north of 60 and became a conglomerate. The guy from Zara started at 38, I think, 39, created one of the biggest retails in the world. The point is, if you detach from those concepts and those distractions, and you realize what you want, what you feel comfortable with, you will be able to feel comfortable with that obsession. And that's the main point.
Lovely. Thank you for that, Rami. Let me move a bit to some, let's call them spiritual aspects of your life. How do you Like, how do your personal beliefs and values influence your professional decisions and leadership styles? Leadership style, yeah. How do you do that?
So I'm someone who's very practical, and I was brought up basically in a very pragmatic way, practical way. So for me, I mean, I do believe that there's some kind of power, some kind of force that created everything that we're living in. I have this theory that we are sitting in a simulation, and that simulation is just like when you look at, for example, if anyone is playing GTA, for example, when you're playing GTA, you're walking down the street, and you have this idea that you're walking in a city, and all this city is actually active, and everyone's walking on the street. There are cars coming in, coming out. There's a mission that you're heading to, and someone is waiting for you there. But in fact, from a software perspective, and those who are in software would understand, in gaming, everything around you is black. There is nothing happening. There's just the street that you are in that's actually functioning, and you can see the activities, while the other parts, in order to save on data, to save on computing power, to save on basically consumption, everything is blacked out until you reach that point, and then it activates. So I think that we are living in a similar situation whereby the simulation does give you challenges, and I believe that like the practical approach when it comes to belief is to really realize that, first of all, there are two main factors that you need to abide by, because these are unchangeable, which is time. For now, we are not able to create any arbitrage, any lack of arbitrage related to time. So one of the main arbitrages that still remains and will still remain is time, and that endpoint, which we call death. In different religions, you can call it different things, but it's the end of the current kind of journey that you're going into. And so if you realize that time and death are the main components that would basically in a way impact or be the dependency to any decision that you take, you would be able to manage things in a much more efficient way. And so this is what fuels my decisions. Okay, what's the best time efficient way to do things, first of all? And then second, is it that important? Is this fight that I'm going into, or this argument, or this complication, is it more important than the end, which is death? And it's never. It's never more important. So that's how you can, first of all, be more efficient in the things you do and in your management style. And second, kind of make things more relative and realize that, hey, maybe it's not that important, because there's an endpoint and it's fine. So things are going to flow. You don't have to fight with that person just because they didn't show up one day, or just because they did the mistake. Will they be repeating that mistake? Let's see. Let's put KPIs. Let's put control aspects. Let's put potentially reports, etc. But we don't have to be stuck on something. So that's kind of what guides me from a belief perspective. It's like time, and most importantly, the endpoint, which makes things more relative and smaller in scale than they are.
I really love the way you're going at it, actually. Yeah. So it simplified the matter for me personally. So yeah, I don't know if we can you give them updates and upgrades, like sending them new skins in the game or something?
I think you could. I think at some point we're going to be able to. I think we're with the evolution with AI. I think we're going to be able to. Yeah, AR exactly. And AI. I think will enable that feature.
Exactly, and they started with having like board members that are basically an AI model.
Exactly,
and it's a board member at a company registered in Abu Dhabi, right?
That's true.
Amazing.
That's true.
Amazing.
That's true. You could hire a board member who's a an AI, soon to be a humanoid. So they're gonna even create a physical kind of copy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Rami, has there been a moment when your spiritual or ethical principles significantly impacted a business decision or the direction of one of your ventures?
Yes. I mean, so I had something that went on in one of my ventures where I had kind of a downfall with the co-founder at this venture, and that involved a lot of kind of going back and forth, arguments, etc. That's where the way I explained things before, like with the time and relativeness of things, that helped me a lot in really saying to myself, listen, you don't have to continue this fight simply because you are wasting time from the time that you're going to allocate in building more things and impacting more people. Although a lot of people around me, basically everyone around me, wanted me to continue the fight, wanted me to continue. Basically, there was literally,
it was a strategic fight, let's say.
It was like for everyone, it was something that I should have done. For me, I was the only one who said, listen, I'm gonna drop it. I'm not gonna continue this fight because I have more important things to do. At the time, trust me, it's one of the most difficult things you could do, because you're filled with emotions, you're filled with a lot of reactiveness when it comes to fighting. When you're fighting, you're very reactive, and especially when someone is trying to take away something that you've built from the start, trying to kind of put you to the ground. And it requires a lot of thought to say, listen, I'm not going to continue this fight. And sometimes the biggest win you can have is not continuing a fight. And so that's where my beliefs kicked in. And kind of I started really moving away, and then with time I realized that was the best decision I've made.
I can 100% relate to what you're saying, because I really was in a kind of similar situation, maybe not as big as yours, but it was like a direct conflict with someone that I had a business relationship with a couple of years ago. And the way the conversation shifted from a business relationship to a direct threat, and kind of dragging it to another level, I chose not to be reactive in that way, because I knew that I could, and anyone can be reactive, anyone can be violent,
Exactly.
anyone can be anything, but I don't want to play that game, I have something else to do, and it's gonna bring me a better return.
I have a question for you. So now let me ask a question. Did you so do you remember that moment where you were torn between being reactive and not being reactive, saying to yourself, I'm just gonna like be as reactive as possible, and then saying no? That was an intense moment, I can imagine, right?
It's very intense, and you feel like there's a revelation. There's something in it. Like it's like a, I don't know. There's a gift inside of it.
Exactly.
I'm not gonna say anything. Okay. You turn and you take another turn. I
totally get that feeling. It's unexplainable. Like if you don't go through it, you really cannot explain that moment where, as you said, like there's a gift inside of it. So that's yeah.
And the problem that I faced was everyone around me was like, why did you do that? Why you didn't react? Why you didn't defend yourself? I was like,
there you go.
I don't have to.
There you go. That's it. So
I have a clear conscience.
We went through,
and I move on.
We went through similar experiences then.
Yeah, that's a nice one. Any practices? I don't know, from meditation to solitude to I don't know what can you do in order for you to enhance the mental and spiritual aspects of yourself?
I mean, I'm gonna be super honest. So for me, I tried meditation, but I mean,
It can be reading, it can be walking in nature, it can be drawing, it can be anything.
Like for me, it's like
what is your remedy?
I am obsessed with the things I do. So I don't really feel, and it's weird, but I don't really feel pressured.
Okay.
Because I'm detached from in my head. I know, and coming back to the two factors that I told you about, like death and time. For me, I know I'm going out with basically nothing, right? Except the experience that I went through. So I kind of keep on convincing myself that there's nothing to lose. And so I don't really get pressured. I do get pressured in moments. So for example, when we're rolling out a feature or a service, or I'm closing a client, or I'm having a conversation, I'm negotiating something, of course, I do get stressed about it or pressured about it. But overall, when this moment ends, I don't feel the need to detach, in the sense, because I'm already detached in my head. I do play some video games. I'm a lot into video games. So that helps me kind of distract. But when it comes to meditation, I really don't. I mean, I do walk, I do think to myself, I listen to some music, and I use that maybe as a meditation process. But I don't have a specific kind of format where I would sit, or I don't.
Do you read a lot? Or
yeah, I do read a lot. I do read a lot. I do read a lot. I do watch a lot of YouTubes. I'm addicted to YouTube videos as well, just like video games. So I'm usually either playing video games and then watching YouTube videos in parallel on some kind of documentary
or
podcast.
Or going live.
Exactly. When I want to be more proactive, I'm going live. But I do listen to a lot of podcasts. I do listen to a lot of people kind of whom I really appreciate talk about certain topics, mainly investment and stuff. So yeah, that keeps me going.
Cool. So let me go to another segment, which is basically around the physical health or the movement that goes into your daily routine. As someone who juggles multiple high demand roles, and how important is physical health to your overall performance?
You can't imagine. Like, to the point that I reached a level where I went through the process. I started off, I used to exercise a lot. I don't kind of want to target something. I exercise just to kind of also detach, in a sense. But there was a period where I was overloaded with things. I stopped exercising. And it was one of the worst moments I went through, because your health deteriorates in such a way where you really can no longer feel this clarity in what you're doing. You're not feeling the passion, you're not feeling the excitement, you're just tired. And nothing is enjoyable when you're tired. And that's one of the biggest problems that got me back to training. And now I train literally every day. I go to the gym. I make sure to have the closest possible gym to me, to where
It's always the closest. Yeah,
exactly. Because
I don't understand the people that will have to really drive half an hour to go to the gym and have a full bag of clothes and shower there.
Exactly.
I personally cannot do that.
Me neither. So so it keeps me going. So on a daily basis, I lock in a time to train. Now, sometimes you got to push yourself. Sometimes just going down to the gym and just walking, or going on the treadmill, or doing some kind of pull-ups or something can help you a lot. But as long as you actually take the step to go down and exercise. So yeah, it's really crucial in the things I do.
Amazing. Yeah, I do believe that it's really crucial, and it's not only a distraction, it's like a reboot for your whole system, basically, where you feel good, and once you feel good in your own body, in your own skin, you're now ready to
That's true.
to do
That's true.
something from a fresh mind perspective.
Yeah.
So
Now, just
exactly.
to be clear, also to the people watching, because like it's very important also to put things into perspective. I mean, we sometimes, I mean, whoever tells you that they're training all the time does sometimes, in a way, go through periods where you're not, where you're struggling with this. So if anyone is struggling with this, it's normal as well. So because we have this social media kind of frenzy where like all the people that are going on podcasts and talking, they're like just perfect. Like they're doing things correctly. You know, they're going to the gym, they're working, their stuff.
An hour every day and the cold plunges.
Exactly.
And
Yeah, we discussed that. Exactly.
From where do they have all that time to do all of these things on a daily basis?
Exactly.
I have no idea. No, we're regular people. We're human beings at the end of the day, and we have responsibilities. And I do believe that balance is key.
Exactly.
I wish I can go back to doing more physical training. I used to do powerlifting. I have a back injury. I used to do a lot of bodybuilding, and I really stopped. I gained some weight, but I'm fine as is. I'm moving myself, walking, swimming when I have the time, but mostly let's not overdo it, but let's stay active.
Exactly.
That's the essential part.
Exactly.
For me, at least.
Exactly.
So, would you say that physical health proved crucial to your professional success or decision making? Do you have any instance or example?
The main thing is you feel fit, you feel in your element, you feel happy, because like when you exercise, there are basically chemical reactions and kind of hormones that get triggered in your body. So it's a fact, scientifically proven, that you do feel happier, you do feel more energetic. And so yes, whenever I train, actually on a daily basis, I do feel, whenever I'm going out of the training, especially sometimes in trainings where I'm pushing myself to the limit, where I'm feeling like the pain that I'm going through when I'm exercising, you get that feeling of kind of satisfaction. You get that, yes, like I'm feeling good about it, you know? And so that pushes you in your work, definitely.
Yeah, and for you, it's mostly after work or before work?
After work.
Okay.
For sure.
So it's a way to
just
stress out,
exactly,
let them go
let things out, just relax and then push things out.
Cool. Yeah, I love both of them, by the way. I moved my trainings till the morning, which I really loved.
Oh, cool.
And I did it for quite some time, and it was really powerful to start the day
after
that fresh and that active. You're ready for anything, you know?
You could interchange. Yeah, you could interchange like between this and that. It's cool.
I find it quite challenging, and it's really nice if you can keep on changing.
That's true.
Don't let it be your new comfort zone.
That's true. That's true.
I'm used to train at 5 p.m. and that's for life. No.
Wow. Exactly. I thought it was the case.
Try it tomorrow morning, Rami. I really invite you for a morning session.
I got you.
You're gonna feel something new.
I'll try it out. For sure.
Yeah. So now getting a bit into the business aspect and the ventures and everything that happened so far with you since you ventured into the startup and the entrepreneurial journey that you started. We're gonna start by talking about a lot of your ventures and technologies and how you went from regular startups to Web3 and innovations. But before going into all of these, I know you have an interesting story to tell us. What happened with you in 2020?
Oh, yeah.
I know that's something heavy to start with.
Yes. Yes. So basically, when you're building a startup, you always have this dream that the startup is going to be at the top of the industry that you're trying to disrupt. And you have this idea that you like all founders have this idea that your startup is worth much more than whatever could be offered. And you get, quote unquote, you get greedy when it comes to your startup because you're possessive and it's something that you built from the start. You start seeing attention, people interested in your startup, and then suddenly it goes into your head. And it went into my head. I like literally August 2020, we got proposal on one of my startups, basically my main startup, to basically be bought out. So we got an acquisition deal, and that acquisition deal was on the table. We were at the top of our performance. Our team was quite big, quite sizable. Our operations were growing. Everything was really going really well. And literally, we decided in a few seconds, said, let's not take this deal. We can.
I don't want it.
We can.
We deserve more.
We can do much better. This is a joke. It was literally like several millions of dollars. So it was like.
Was it a reaction or it was a really calculated answer?
No, it was not calculated at all. In retrospect, it was far from being calculated. It was just us considering that we are unbeatable, unbreakable, and we've been going on, and that's also very important to mention. We had been going on with the startup for about 3 years and a half, so nearly 4 years. And we didn't realize the impact of those 4 years on our basically mental state. So we felt that we were still fresh, we were still going on, like we had the energy, we had the passion, we had the excitement. And especially for me, I didn't even consider that someone could be tired. While other team members at the time who did not tell me were tired, were exhausted, wanted that kind of stop in a sense. So it was not calculated at all. 6 months later, we had a fight between co-founders. We were nearly on the brink of collapse. We had our operations just our clients just leave. We had an issue with our dev team. We had an issue with the business model, with the core business model that was changing because of COVID and the post-COVID internet adoption and move towards things. So it was catastrophic. So we just looked back, like 6 months earlier, we had that offer. We could not get maybe 20% of that offer 6 months later. So it was pretty abrupt. It was a roller coaster. So that
and what happened after it?
So after it, we had the choice basically to either continue or basically close down. We continued, and I'm super happy that we continued at a cost, because the cost was the mental part, which was very challenging, the health part that got me more into training.
Lesson learned
for sure. For sure. A startup is, if you get an offer for your startup, especially in this period, definitely do consider it much more seriously than I did. That's for sure.
Oh
yeah.
Now we're laughing at it, but I know back then
it was catastrophic.
It wasn't that funny.
It was no, I used to cry about it. Literally, I cried about it. Like, I literally cried about it. I would literally
I can imagine.
Just sit down and say, I mean, I could have built so many things and just moved on. And the idea is sometimes we lose ourselves in a tunnel where we think that if I'm gonna sell my business or my startup, I cannot do anything else. It's wrong. I mean, you could build so many things. You could just enjoy time with family, with friends, etc. So I think that startups are a sprint. They're very intense. but there needs to be a target. If there is no target, what you want to do with that startup, you would get tired. And when you get tired, you start making bad decisions. And when you start making bad decisions, you start fighting with people. And then it just becomes a roller coaster that basically never ends until either you wind up or you really have to put so much effort to put things back on track.
I agree with what you said, but mentioning startup is a sprint. Why is that? Are we talking about
Tech startups.
new innovative startups? Okay.
Yeah. So tech startups. I mean tech startups where you're building a SaaS model, for example, or you're and again, SaaS models.
You want to be the next unicorn.
Exactly.
Raise funds and all of that.
Exactly. Okay. If you're going through that process of kind of raising capitals, pre-seed, seed, Series A, Series B, and then going through building one of the business models of a SaaS, because also very important is that SaaS is not a business model on its own. So that's very important, because there are SaaS models that are SMEs. So basically you can build the SaaS model while being an SME and building your business, while when you're building a startup, specifically a tech startup, it has to be fast. It has to be fast. It has to grow at exponential levels. So it's tiring. It's
yeah, it is. It is, of course. And I agree on that. But as a whole, a business or a brand, for me at least, it's more a marathon. It has a lot of, it's lengthy, and you need to have really the endurance to survive all that time.
That's true. If you're building a regular business, that's definitely it. I mean, you have to give it time. You have to go back to the drawing board at points, definitely. But when it comes to building something that scales, that like at scale, you'd find yourself like one day with 2 team members, and then 2 months later with 20. So how do how do you really grasp all of this when you have all the things around you that are happening, maybe family, maybe friends, maybe things that are happening in life? And so it becomes overwhelming at a point. So you are basically in need of a goal. You are in need of to say, like, listen, I'm going to reach that objective. And so that's why I called it a sprint when it comes to tech startups. Yeah.
So with your diverse ventures from Lexion to AK, what key business strategies have you found most effective in navigating the complex landscapes of law, finance, and tech? Because you blend them all, and you really diversifying your ventures.
Yeah, I mean,
what
the main kind of approach is to really try to solve a problem, try to solve a real problem. And again, it's not easy, because sometimes you think you're solving a problem when it's not a problem. It's not really a problem. People do not want it. And you have to have the courage to say, listen, people are not asking for the things I'm offering. So there must be something wrong. I need to fix it. All right? Because we tend to think that if we put a patch on things, they just heal. They don't heal. It's not the patch that heals them. The patch just protects the wound, but it's the body that heals itself. So the body is reinventing the cells, right? When it's healing. That's the same thing for business. The business has to create new cells that are healing the wound or the lack of efficiency of whatever you're doing. It's not the patch. Sometimes people push on marketing, for example. They say, listen, I was spending 1,000, I'm going to spend 10,000 on marketing, and then try to sell. But guess what? It's not the way. The marketing, for example, only accelerates your sales. It does not bring you the sales. And so my main thing is really trying to go back to the drawing board and think about, okay, what is the innovation that's happening, and how can I recalibrate, in a sense, the problem I'm solving towards the innovation that is happening in the market. That brings me to another complication, which is sometimes you over recalibrate, so you change a lot, and that's also something that you have to limit. So you have to really think about, okay, am I changing just because it's cool, it's hyped, it's a new thing? Or am I changing because there's a fundamental reason or a fundamental change that is happening in the market? AI is, yeah.
Yeah, which leads me actually to my next question. How have you approached marketing and scaling these high-tech ventures, particularly in the innovative projects like a killer's NFT, let's say?
By understanding the market. So first of all, for example, in Web3, the idea of Web3 is a lot of people do not understand Web3 because they're coming from a Web2 perspective to the Web3 world. Web3 is a community-based world. So everything is reliant on the community. If you're not part of the community, if you're not part of the various communities that are there, if you don't understand the language, the linguistics, you cannot launch anything. If you're not providing value, and if you're not being straight up honest with the people that are there, people will just know who you are. And whatever you're going to do, you're not going to be able to actually sell anything or provide any kind of product or service. So how did I approach it in Web3? By really understanding, and I think that helped because I was in gaming a lot, because gaming is also very community based, and gaming basically got me to the various communities. I'm into anime, to Dragon Ball. I watch Dragon Ball a lot. So I'm into various anime communities. And so that got me as well into the community aspect. I'm into trading. So that got me into communities as well, because a lot of people trade in communities. So
you're building a lot of communities, Rami. I can tell, I can see, and you're being part of different communities, and you're building other communities. And I know that you have various projects from Web2 to Web3, and specifically in Web3, you're building a lot, and you're being with the people, helping them, providing tips, creating YouTube videos that are free tutorials and master classes for trading, for a lot of stuff. How do you find the time to do all of that?
I think it's again, it goes back to connecting things together and being efficient, and most importantly, having people to work with. If you're not able to build a team around you, if you're not able to work with people and reward them for what they do, and have them part of the projects that you're building, so whenever I'm trying to build, I want people who are working with me to feel that it's their project as well, because it's theirs. It's theirs from a percentage perspective, from a share perspective, from a revenue perspective, from a lot of perspectives. I do not believe that we are at a time where we can keep on bringing people as simple employees into a business and expect them to give their utmost effort to that business, because everyone knows that, listen, I'm coming in at 9, doing a 9 to 5, but at the end of the day, you're the guy making the millions and I'm the guy making the salary. And so we can no longer do that. If we want to really build things, if we want to scale things, if we want to grow things, if we want to create things, we can no longer do that. And that's why I try to include people who work with me on a plan, in a process. How can you become part of what we're doing? How can you get your shares? How can you get
and
into
how
the
can you do more, and
Exactly.
how you
Exactly.
get a better outcome,
Exactly.
income from it?
Exactly. So that helps you.
How do you do that?
Well, you create vesting schedules. That's from a legal perspective. You create, you give a certain percentage to the people joining the team. Of course, that's no legal advice, because like, if you, depending on your business,
we're only hearing what you are doing and what works for you.
So I keep a percentage of the business for the people joining, and whoever's joining at different positions at different timings gets access basically to these shares.
That's for the Web3 and the Web2 companies?
Everything I do. in everything I do, literally.
Wow.
Literally in every little thing I do. Because I do not believe, again, going back, Carl, to the idea of the two concepts I told you about that keep on repeating, time and death. If you understand that you're not taking things with you, you might as well build with people, reward them. We worked on the equity incentive plan for Kareem. You know Kareem, the ride-hailing business. So that's what
that got acquired by Uber.
Yeah, it was the startup that created the most millionaires ever.
Oh.
Ever. Kareem
Really?
was the startup that created the most millionaires in the history of startups.
I did not know that.
In the history of startups. Like, it created the most millionaires. And why is that? Because the founders decided from day one, listen, those early joiners are going to be part of the team, are going to get the shares that are going to make them millionaires if we're going to sell above $1 billion. If we're going to become a unicorn, these guys that joined in are going to become millionaires. That's it. And so they actually did become billionaires. So that was amazing.
I should have joined Kareem.
Yeah. early on. Yeah.
Early on. Yeah. That was too early, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. So I believe we tackled a bit the strategic approach and how you are agile and in your strategy approach and how you shift directly and you're being responsive to the market needs and technological advancements. But do you have anything to say in that? Any specific example to add or something? Because I believe that you are exposed to a lot of innovation and combining law with the new ways of doing ventures, which are basically the Web3 with the tokenomics and being blockchain based. How do you translate that in your regular business?
I think that there are four concepts that will determine each and every business moving forward. And that's where I try to centralize my ideas around these four concepts. Basically, artificial intelligence is going to be driving everything that I do moving forward. And I think that everything business does moving forward is going to be determined by AI. Augmented reality. So we're going to have a layer of virtual on top of the real. And that's something that will determine a lot of business models moving forward. Community. Also, that's something that will really kind of create that dynamic between brands and people. I believe that the next alpha are villages, which is extremely, I think villages around the world and small cities are going to be the next alpha. People are going to move away from major cities. So I'm not really bullish on real estate.
It's already happening.
Exactly. And they're going to build modern small cities. I mean, I would love
started since COVID.
Yeah. And I would love to be living in a city, in a small village, for example, where I know people around me. We have a modern lifestyle. We are doing things, but we're in the middle of nature, while instead of living in a major city where no one knows no one, basically. And so it's too crowded. So I think that's...
We go back to community.
Exactly. So I think that goes back to community. And then the last part is microtransactions. So everything is moving towards smaller transactions and smaller ticket prices. The bigger ticket prices will no longer be available simply because the people are not making big tickets anymore. Everything is being kind of brought back to microtransactions, to small transactions, to small payments, to different or various or a multitude of revenue streams for each person. So you make money from trading, you make money from investment, you make money from your startup, you make money from your e-commerce, you make money from your socials, you make money from a freelance job that you do. And that's kind of how things are being built. Before, like 20, 30 years ago, a lawyer would reach the age of 40, 45, they would be making tens of millions of dollars. They're part of a niche in society. where they're buying real estate, they're buying stuff, big cars, luxury cars, etc. If you realize now, if you're seeing the data, major houses are basically going down in prices, except for a small niche. Cars are going down in prices. They're cutting prices because no one can afford it, or else it's going to be leased, so smaller transactions. And even when you create business models, the more it's based on microtransactions, the more you'll have sales. And the more you have tickets that are like maybe $2,000, $3,000, the less you're going to get the sales. So yeah, that's how I function.
Amazing approach, and thank you for that, Rami. It really resonates with me, and it highlights basically really the four elements of how we should move forward and in which direction and how to go at it. Talking about trading and a multitude of revenue streams and channels and how to do all of that, any advice that you can give to any solopreneur or someone that is really shifting from being an employee to starting their own businesses, and they want to have a kind of a stable income, and they really cannot do it on their own, and they're creating a multitude of revenue streams. What can you tell them a bit about trading? I don't know. You tell me.
I mean, first of all, I would tell them don't trade. The first thing that you need to do is to build your business. The first thing you need to do is to learn a skill. If you're already working, then you probably have a skill. So the second thing to do is to build a business, a revenue stream, or partner up. And that's very important and very underrated, by the way. People want to build their businesses, but no one wants to partner up to build a business. And
again, we go back to greed.
That's very bad. That's very bad, because you cannot build on your own, and you might as well. There are business ideas out there that are extremely well done, and there are teams that are building. If you join a startup that gives you an opportunity to get ownership in that startup, then it's definitely a better option in most of the cases than building your own startup. And a lot of people kind of go for ego and say, I want to be the founder, I want to build, I want to do that, I want to do this. And this is extremely wrong, in my opinion. So the first thing I would say is definitely don't trade, because you're already under a lot of stress. So you don't want to add another layer of stress on your shoulders. Definitely invest. So open up an investment account or a trading account, and definitely do invest with guidance, of course. But for example, if you would have invested in the S&P, for example, 20-30 years ago, that's an easy, I mean, considering last year, that's an easy north of 10% in return over on your money. So there's definitely that aspect of investing on the long run. As for trading, I think you can do it when you start having a decent revenue stream. That's where you can start trading, because trading without pressure, knowing that at the end of the month you do have the returns and the revenue to keep the same lifestyle that you're in, helps you trade much better, helps you trade much more efficiently, and make much more money. So yeah, I think first learn a skill, second open up a business or partner up on a business, and then and only then you can trade.
Exactly that, because nowadays everyone is it's trendy, it's in hype, and everyone wants to really jump in and start trading, and they want to install 2 screens in front of them and live the life of a trader. And it's not that simple, guys. There's no easy money in life. They don't grow on trees nor on screens.
That's true.
So either you do it professionally and you go at it full time almost, or please don't.
That's true.
You're gonna lose your money.
That's true. That's true.
Any final thoughts? Anything to conclude with, Rami? All yours.
We are in definitely very, very challenging times. I think focusing on the most important 4 concepts, AI, AR, community, and microtransactions. If you have your businesses lined up to these 4 elements, I think you can build a strong business. We still have time. AI is here. Humanoids are going to be here. Robots basically are going to be here. We still have time as humans to build things. However, in a few years, I think if you're going into education right now, if you're learning, if you're becoming a kind of a university student, I think going for creatives, going for the creative kind of majors, even exploring singing, dancing, all the creative aspects, DJing, whatever it is definitely more of a priority than exploring the analytical stuff that potentially can be easily automated or basically kind of replaced. Humans can, yeah, exactly. So yeah, I would definitely go for the creatives.
Thank you for the advice. It's really spot on.
Thank you.
Just to clarify one thing, it's not replacing old jobs with the new jobs only, but it's creating new ways of doing things. And even I really wish that all the entrepreneurs and the business owners and the people that are shifting towards the entrepreneurship journey don't miss out on AI.
Yeah.
Understand AI, understand its functionality. How can you really use it? Because it's there for you to use it. It's not here to replace you. It's here to make your life easier.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
Rami Alame, thanks a lot
so much
for being here. I really enjoyed this episode, and thank you so much for sharing all your insights and your journey with us. It was really illuminating. Thanks a lot again. I really appreciate you, and see you soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.